The rain was falling so hard that the city lights looked like blurred tears on the windshield. A man with tired eyes and a broken umbrella stood beside a luxury car that had stopped in the middle of an empty road. He had no idea that the woman sitting inside was one of the most powerful billionaires in the country. He only knew one thing: someone was stranded and he had the tools to help. When he opened the hood of the car, the cold rain soaked through his old jacket. His hands were rough from years of repairing engines, and his shoes were already filled with water. But he didn't complain. He didn't ask for money. He didn't even know who he was helping. He simply looked at the damaged engine and said quietly, "Don't worry, I'll get you home." Before we begin this emotional journey, if you believe kindness still matters and second chances can change lives, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Heart Kindness Tales for more inspiring stories. The man's name was Kellen Royce, a single father who had spent the last 6 years fighting a battle no one else could see. Every morning before the sun came up, he woke his 8-year-old daughter, Amara, prepared her breakfast, fixed her school uniform, and walked her to the bus stop. After that, he spent the day at his small roadside auto repair shop working on old cars just to earn enough to pay rent, buy groceries, and keep a little money aside for Amara's dreams. Kellen's life had not always been this difficult. Years ago, he had a loving family, a comfortable home, and plans for a future that looked bright. But everything changed when his wife passed away unexpectedly after a sudden illness. In one moment, the person who filled their home with laughter was gone, and Kellen was left holding a tiny child who didn't understand why her mother would never come back. He could have given up. Many people expected him to. Some relatives told him raising a child alone was impossible. Others suggested he should leave Amara with someone else because he needed to focus on rebuilding his own life. But every night when Amara fell asleep holding her favorite stuffed rabbit, Kellen made the same promise. He promised her that even if life became difficult, she would always feel loved. The years were not easy. There were nights when he counted the last few coins in his pocket. There were mornings when his old truck refused to start, and he had to walk miles to open his repair shop. There were moments when he sat alone after Amara went to bed, wondering if he was failing as a father. But whenever Amara smiled and said, "You're the best dad in the world," he found the strength to continue. Across the city, far away from Kellen's small neighborhood, lived a woman named Serafina Vale. She was the owner of a massive technology company, a woman whose name appeared on magazine covers and business headlines. People saw her as fearless, brilliant, and unstoppable, but they didn't see the loneliness behind the expensive clothes and glass buildings. Serafina had spent most of her life chasing success because success was the only thing she could control. After losing her parents at a young age, she learned how to depend only on herself. She built an empire from nothing, but somewhere along the way, she forgot what it felt like to trust someone. People around her wanted her money, her connections, and her approval. Very few people cared about how she felt. That night, after a long business meeting, Serafina decided to drive home alone. She wanted a few quiet moments away from assistants, schedules, and endless conversations, but halfway through the journey, her car suddenly stopped. She tried calling for help, but the storm had damaged the signal. The road was nearly empty and the rain kept getting heavier. For the first time in years, Serafina felt completely helpless. Then she saw a small repair truck approaching through the rain. She expected a mechanic to complain about the weather or demand a huge payment. Instead, Kellen stepped out, looked at the car, and asked if she was safe. "You should go back inside," he told her. "It's freezing out here." Serafina stared at him. "You're the one standing in the rain." Kellen smiled slightly. "I'm used to it." Those simple words stayed in her mind. He didn't know her name. He didn't know how much money she had. He didn't treat her like someone important. He treated her like a person. Kellen carefully examined the engine. The problem was small, but the storm made everything harder. Water dripped from his hair as he worked. His fingers shook from the cold, but he continued. After a few minutes, Serafina noticed something unusual. His wallet had fallen from his pocket, and a small photo slipped out. It was a picture of a little girl smiling beside him. "Your daughter?" she asked. Kellen looked at the photo and his tired face immediately softened. "Yes, her name is Amara. She must be lucky to have a father like you." Kellen looked away for a moment. "I just hope I'm doing enough." Those words surprised Serafina. The man standing in front of her, soaked and exhausted, was worried he wasn't enough. Meanwhile, she had everything money could buy and still felt empty. After another few minutes, the engine finally started. The sound of the car turning on felt like a small victory in the middle of the storm. Serafina reached for her purse. "Tell me how much I owe you." Kellen shook his head. "Nothing." She looked confused. "Nothing." "You worked in the rain." He closed the hood and smiled. Someone needed help. That's all. Nobody had ever refused money from Serafina Vale. She didn't know how to respond. Before she could say anything else, Kellen picked up his tools and started walking back to his truck. "Wait," she called. He turned around. For a moment, Serafina didn't know what to say. She had faced investors, competitors, and impossible business decisions, but somehow talking to this stranger felt harder. Finally, she said, "I want to see you again." Kellen looked surprised, not because she wanted to meet him, but because he couldn't understand why someone like her would want to spend time with someone like him. "Why?" he asked. Serafina smiled softly. "Because you reminded me that good people still exist." The next morning, Kellen woke up thinking the previous night had been nothing more than a strange encounter. He helped Amara get ready for school, packed her lunch, and returned to his normal routine. But later that afternoon, a black luxury car stopped outside his repair shop. Kellen looked up and froze. Serafina stepped out. She wasn't wearing a designer outfit or surrounded by assistants. She looked different, more relaxed, more human. "I thought you might be here," she said. Kellen laughed quietly. "You found me." "I have resources," she replied with a small smile. "But I didn't come here for business." Over the next few weeks, something unexpected happened. Serafina started visiting the repair shop. At first, Kellen was uncomfortable. He wondered why someone so successful would want to spend time around his simple life. But Serafina didn't care about luxury anymore. She wanted to hear about Amara's school stories. She wanted to know why Kellen kept fixing old cars instead of opening a bigger shop. She wanted to understand the man who helped a stranger without expecting anything. Slowly, Kellen noticed something changing. Serafina laughed more. She stopped looking at every conversation like a business meeting, and Amara, who was naturally curious, quickly became attached to her. One evening, as the Clear's Throat three of them sat outside the repair shop watching the sunset, Amara asked Serafina, "Do you have someone who takes care of you?" The question caught her off guard. Serafina looked at the little girl and admitted, "Not really." Amara thought for a moment and said, "Everyone needs someone." Those simple words touched a place inside Serafina that she had hidden for years. But life was never simple. Kellen soon discovered that his small repair shop was in danger. The landlord had increased the rent and a large company wanted to buy the entire area. Kellen tried to hide the problem, but Serafina noticed. She offered to help. Kellen refused. "I appreciate it," he said, "but I don't want you to fix my life." Serafina looked at him quietly. For years, people had accepted her help because of her money. Kellen was the first person who rejected it because he valued his own dignity. That made her respect him even more. Instead of giving him money, Serafina used her knowledge and connections to help him find a fair solution. She helped him improve his business, bring in more customers, and build a future without taking control away from him. Months passed, and Kellen's repair shop began to grow. But the biggest change wasn't financial. It was emotional. Amara had someone else who cared about her. Kellen had someone who understood his struggles. And Serafina finally had something she never thought she would find again, a place where she belonged. One evening, as the city lights appeared in the distance, Serafina stood outside the repair shop, remembering the rainy night that changed everything. She had entered that night feeling alone. She had left with a reminder that kindness could reach even the most guarded hearts. Kellen walked beside her and said, "Funny how a broken car brought us here." Serafina smiled. Maybe some things break so they can lead us somewhere better. Before the story ends, take a moment to engage with this video if it touched your heart. Leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Heart Kindness Tales so more stories like this can reach people who need hope. And before you go, please comment, kindness always returns if you believe one small act of compassion can change someone's entire life. Because sometimes the people who save us are not the ones with power or wealth. Sometimes they are ordinary people standing in the rain, choosing to be kind when nobody is watching.